Senator Shelby.
Thank you. There's been a lot of debate recently in the Senate about the creation of the Department of Homeland Security that you're all familiar with. Perhaps the most important part, at least I think so, of the part of the Homeland Security legislation that's being debated is its provisions with dealing with information analysis. Senator Graham and I have been involved with Senator Lieberman and others dealing with that particular piece. If Homeland Security analysts are to occupy, if they are to occupy a unique position and have a unique perspective in that they would have access both, General, to domestic and foreign intelligence and to information on homeland vulnerabilities such as terrorist state. It seems that it would be important to give them the capability for this sort of deep information access at the intelligence agencies. In other words, if they needed it or thought they needed it. What are your thoughts here regarding the role of Homeland Security in the intelligence community? And should it have an analytical component? And without an analytical component, what would it be, General?
It needs an analytic component. It doesn't just need one, it needs many. It needs a central one, and then it will need distributed ones. Let me offer the model of mainframe central processing versus distributed processing in computers. When you had one big mainframe computer with slow computers, dumb terminals, people got backed up in a queue. When we came to microprocessors, we could have a lot of people processing simultaneously. Intelligence analysis is done the same way. And many users need analysis, and you like to have the analysis with them. The collection can be more centralized. When you have the organization of Homeland Security has decided where it wants those, I think it should have them near decision-making points, then each of those analytic capabilities need to be able to tap into NSA, the National Imagery Agency, to CIA's clandestine service, and to what I would say is a national counterintelligence service. The FBI will never give information out. A national intelligence, a counterintelligence organization would be an intelligence organization, not an arrest organization. Right. And therefore they'd have an incentive to, they want their stuff used. They're not doing it for themselves. There's no reason then that analytics center can't draw on the whole community. The model that's, I think, easy to look at right now in that regard is how the State Department works. You have INR in state, which is the general central point, but with any negotiation, you can have an analytics center supporting anything that's going on. And that seems to me to be sort of a straightforward, easy organizational issue to deal with.
I agree with you, General. Congressman Hamilton.
Senator Shelby, I don't know that I understand all that well the President's proposal on the Department of Homeland Security with regard to intelligence. As I understand it, the Department of Homeland Security would not be a collecting agency at all. They would not get the raw data. They would get the conclusions from the CIA and the FBI.
The whole community.
The whole community. And then they would use that to assess threats and to primary purpose protect the infrastructure. And the President's talked about it being a clearinghouse, and I think George Tenet has said the department would be a consumer of intelligence. I'm a little skeptical of all of that. I don't think the conclusions of the intelligence community, if handed to the Department of Homeland Security, will satisfy the Department of Homeland Security folks. They're going to want to know, well, where'd this come from? And how sure are you of this information?
They're going to vet it, in other words.
That's correct.
And I think they should.
Yeah, you were mentioning that they have to have some capability to examine information analysis. I think I agree with that. Now, if you do that, then what is the relationship between these three organizations, DHS and CIA and FBI? I'm not sure I know the answer to all of that, but I'm a little skeptical of this idea that the raw data would not be available. I also understand that the President would have the authority to provide the raw data under certain circumstances, and that might work satisfactorily. But I'm reasonably sure if I were running the Department of Homeland Security and I got the conclusions from the intelligence agencies, those conclusions tend to be fairly broad and sweeping.
Absolutely.
And vague at times, that I wouldn't be satisfied with it. So I think the Senate is quite correct in looking at this pretty carefully.
I agree with you. Senator Graham and I, that was not the President's first proposal, but we worked out a proposal. Now, I know my time's up. Can Mr. Hitz say anything, Mr. Chairman?
Well, I find myself in agreement with Congressman Hamilton on that, and the only question I was going to put to you, Senator Shelby, was what is the recourse of the Homeland Security analyst if he finds that the intelligence he's been provided is not up to snuff, misses the point? Does he have to go back to the President and knock on his door to get it right?
I think he should be able to go right back and task someone, what is this, what does this mean, and so forth. That's what Senator Graham and I have been proposing for, 6 months, I guess it is. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Makes sense.